Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Ganesh, for this opportunity. Can I have my video? I am probably the oldest samurai. So let's look at some of the simple techniques following the wonderful surgeries by Dr. Steve Charles and Sangeet. And there are three types of detachment which you can see into tumors. One is exudative detachment. I use a simple technique of exudative detachment drainage like this. So it's a 30 gauge needle with which I inject, go in between the folds, and there's a transconjunctival drainage. You see one needle in the inferior temporal quadrant, which is a 26 gauge needle connected to an open syringe. So inject, and the fluid in the subretinal space is drained with the needle in the inferior temporal quadrant, and this is a transconjunctival drainage. And the patient had some amount of subretinal hemorrhage also. That is why you see it in the subretinal space. And this is a kind of blind technique, but you can do it as a visualization technique in this video. Here, this is a retinal hemangioma, an exophatic retinal hemangioma with the exudative retinal detachment and a wide angle viewing system. You can see the needle in the subretinal space. Instead of doing a retinotomy to drain, so transclearly I have entered the subretinal space. The bevel of the needle is facing the retinal pigment epithelium, and the infusion in the vitreous cavity drains the subretinal fluid and reattaches the retina, avoiding a retinectomy or a retinotomy in these situations. The patient also had some amount of ascites because of the retinal hemangioma, and this is the retinal hemangioma, which is peripapillary location, which is being treated with laser photocoagulation. Traction retinal detachment is often common with vascular retinal tumors, and this is a post-treated retinal hemangioma. You can see a rigorous retinal hemangioma. A lot of fibrous tissue can form in the area where it has been treated with cryo, and we need to be very careful in these areas not to create a retinal break. There is a posterior extension of the fibrous tissue, which is being gently peeled. You can see the dilated vessels which are leading on to the hemangioma. And this cannot be peeled off. We just peel it up to the strong attachment to the tumor and dissect it very, very carefully, taking care not to create a retinal break. I used to very rarely resect these tumors, but now I found that it's not a good idea to resect them, leave them alone and support under the pre and post treatment, post vitrectomy appearance. And this is a cavernous hemangioma. Usually we leave them alone. And this is a child which had traction macular detachment. That's the macula which is lifted up like a knife. And this is the peripapillary cavernous hemangioma with a lot of fibrous tissue. Obviously, we cannot remove these tumors, but this fibrous tissue can be circumcised and left around the tumor, limiting it and decreasing the amount of traction on the fovea. Obviously, the visual recovery is going to be poor, but then some amount of visual improvement did happen in this child. So that's at the end of the surgery, and this is post-treatment. Some amount of reattachment of the macula has happened. Rarely we come across regmatous retinal detachments. Once again, in angiomatous retinae, I stopped doing cryo for large tumors such as these. I treat them with brachytherapy, and you can see regression post-brachytherapy. And this kid was doing well for about a year, and subsequently he developed regmatous retinal detachment. You can see large amount of subretinal fluid, subretinal exudates, induced the PVD, perfluorocarbon, to stabilize the posterior pole, peripheral vitrectomy. And you can see the vitreous looks sick because of the amount of exudation. And this is the nasal tumor. Earlier, we used to resect them, but I stopped resecting them because resecting results in a large amount of fibrosis and resulting in phthisis of the eye. So this is the treatment of the feeder vessels to that area and replacement of silicone oil. And I support these periphery with a buckle. This is a 42 band supporting the peripheral fibrous tissue. And this is the modification of the solid silicone, which is placed under the area of the tumor to support it as well. So using this technique of brachytherapy and a peripheral buckle along with the vitrectomy, I find the risk of losing these eyes is much lesser, and there's a post-operative appearance. Moving on to retinoblastoma, regmatous retinal detachment. Earlier, we used to be very, very scared to have intervene in these eyes until we are sure that the tumor is inactive. But currently, we use chemotherapeutic agents in the infusion and go ahead with vitrectomy very, very carefully. So here again, we have placed a pre-placed buckle. So take precautions not to spill the fluid from the vitreous into the orbit. And as I mentioned, there is melphalan or topotecan in the infusion fluid. This is the only eye of the child with retinal detachment and PVR and partly treated retinoblastoma. Some of the tumor is still active. What is interesting is look at the vitreoretinal adhesion. It's attached around the tumor and had PVR as well. The PVR is also removed. And this is the area where the prior surgeon had done cryotherapy to the tumor. And that's exactly where the break was. And the retina was contracted and the vitreous was strongly attached. So retinectomy had to be done in this area. And this is the posterior tumor. I was wondering whether to remove it, but obviously it's not possible because it is sticking right over the macula and attached to the disc. So I decided to leave that tumor alone. And the retina is reattached and laser photocoagulation is done and silicone oil is used for tamponade. And in addition to having a chemotherapeutic agent in the vitreous cavity, distilled water is cytotoxic to retinoblastoma cells. So I balloon up the subtenon space and the subcaninical space with distilled water. This tends to kill cells. And this is a very, very difficult situation child, one-eyed child. And I had treated this child. And what you see is the tumor over the disc extending along the arcades. So we can't see where the disc is. You can see the PVD is being induced over the macular region. And this child had already had one retinal attachment. I treated it with a scleral buckle, but subsequently developed another break somewhere. So reattached it by doing a vitrectomy. But then what happened was the superior temporal arcade tumor, where I'm doing laser now, that is lifted up. And that kept the retina lifted up and the break lifted up. So I tried doing a macular buckle, it failed. And subsequently, I had to go back and literally cut this calcification away from the main tumor. This calcification extends into the macula, so I cannot do a retinectomy all around because it will go within the arcade and also close to the disc. So I very gently cut this calcification. So this disc calcification, which is lifting up, tending up the retina, will fall back and allow reattachment of the retina. Unfortunately, we managed to keep this retina attached over the last 6 or 7 years, and the child continues to see with this only eye. So that's the fluid gas exchange. That's exactly where the break is. As I mentioned, that part of the calcium was lifting up, tending up the retina, not allowing it to reattach. So I had to cut the calcium, allow it to reattach, but at the same time, not create a retinal break. Thank you very much.